The Exile's Refuge, 200 years before the Dark Portal. Ages before the fall of Goria, event transpired that would one day change the Orcs' race future. Far from Draenor, Sargeras and his burning legion defeated the Titan Pantheon. Now, nothing could oppose the demons and their quest to destroy all life in the universe. Yet, Sargeras needed new allies to continue his work. His ranks of demons were wild, difficult to control. He required lieutenants and tacticians who could help him guide the unruly legion, and he found them among the highly intelligent race called the Eredar. Led by three wise rulers, Archimond, Kil'jaeden, and Velen, the Eredar had turned their world, Argus, into a paradise that held knowledge and philosophy in high esteem. When Sargeras corrupted these beings, most of them willingly accepted their fate. They reveled in the opportunity to act as the Legion's commanders, and they brought the demonic army into line. A number of Eredar resisted. Velen was the sole leader who did not give himself over to Sargeras. He led other dissidents on a daring escape from Argus, an escape that was only possible with the help of beings known as the Naaru. These creatures of holy light were sworn protectors of the cosmos and its inhabitants, and they had foreseen the Eredar's corruption. For thousands of years, Velen and most of the Draenor, or exiled ones in the Eredar tongue, fled from the Legion, seeking a refuge in the cosmos. They traveled between the physical universe and the twisting nether abroad a dimensional fortress called the Genedar. This Naaru-powered vessel could transport the Draenor across vast distances. It had been a dangerous journey. Velen's Draenor had successfully evaded almost all contact with the Legion, and the demons had little luck in tracking them. With three Naaru aiding the renegades, K'ur, K'ara, and Or, the Draenor could sense the approach of their hunters. Every time that happened, the exiles will pull up stakes and disappear into the stars. Velen knew that his people would never have a chance to resist the Legion with force until they found the world to settle. Until then, the Genedar was the Draenor's only true home. But traveling through the cosmos required incredible amounts of energy. The Naaru spirits had to bear the burden of this extended journey, and over time, they weakened. As their radiant energies flagged, the Genedar threatened to fall apart. The Naaru knew that the time for running had come to an end. They found a world the Legion had not yet touched, and they called on their dwindling powers in a desperate attempt to reach it. Velen and his renegades would name this world Draenor, or Exile's Refuge. Crash of the Genedar. The final journey to Draenor was catastrophic. One of the Naaru, K'ara, lost touch with its connection to the light, and void energies began to consume it. Such was the fate that awaited many of these holy beings. Though the light and void were opposing forces, they were inexorably linked together. When a Naaru was weakened or pushed to the verge of death, its radiant energies would dim. The fading light would then give way to its polar opposite, the void. K'ara's final act was to convince the Draenors to eject from the Genedar. This was not easily done. Void energy now coursed through K'ara's body, and instinctively, the being went to war against the other weakened Naaru. Their energies clashed within the Genedar, and the chaos of battle threatened to kill anyone who interfered. Velen stepped in anyway, using the light to shield the two Naaru from their corrupted kin, and cast K'ara away from the vessel. For centuries to come, the darkened being would drift in disguise above Shadow Moon Valley. Velen's heroics had saved the Draenor, but there were consequences. The battle had injured him and sapped much of his strength, both physically and mentally. His ability to foresee future events became unreliable, and it would take him centuries to fully recover. The other two Naaru were too weak to land the Genedar on Draenor safely. The vessel plummeted to the ground, killing Or and many of the other Draenor aboard. When the smoke cleared from the crash site, All that remained of the ship was the Crystal Mountain. The Draenei who survived emerged from the Genedar into a strange new world. The Naruk-ur told them to leave the wrecked ship immediately. The being knew that it was decaying much as Ka'ara had, and it did not want them to be exposed to the void. Velen and his Draenei were truly alone, and, as far as they knew, this would be the last world they would ever see. Velen, injured but unwavering, led his people onward. The surroundings were vibrant but dangerous, a world filled with many mysteries and wonders. Velen's first act was to create an order called the Rangari, survivalist scouts who would explore their unfamiliar home in search of resources and threats that might impact the Draenei's future. In time, they found plenty of both. The Council of Exarchs. Since leaving Argus, Velen had received constant visions from the future from the Naru and the Holy Light, earning him the name Prophet. Countless threats had been avoided because he'd seen them coming and guided his people away from the danger. Now, the Naru could no longer lead the Draenei, and Velen's injuries made his foresight unfocused, drifting between possibilities and certainties. His visions had also grown frightening. When he touched the darkened Ka'ara, he had seen into the mindset of the chaotic, evil creatures that lurked within the void. Not only could Velen see possible futures, but now he could see the void's desired futures. It was difficult to distinguish the visions of true calamity from the glimpses of the void's dreams of a corrupted universe. Velen decided that it would be disastrous if he were the only leader among his people. His judgment was no longer without fault. Velen formed a council of sages that would oversee different aspects of Draenei culture. The first of these, Exarchs, was Nail, the leader of the newly forged Rangari. She led her followers by example, spending most of her time in the wilds with the other scouts. The second Exarch was charged with guiding Draenei engineers, the Artificers, in building armor, weapons, and settlements. Hatari was tremendously skilled, and he had already learned how to shape Draenor's raw materials. Among his first creation were Arcanet crystals. They served as conduits of arcane energy, which brought light and power to Draenei society, and also allowed them to build constructs to protect their homes from danger. The third Exarch, Akama, was placed in charge of the Draenei Vindicators. As warriors of the light, Vindicators defended the Draenei from the dark forces that lurked in their new home. The fourth and final Exarch was Othar. The Genedar's Naru were either dead or slowly decaying, but some of their holy energies lingered. The Draenei had also recovered Or's remains. They did not yet know whether the fallen Naru was dangerous, or exactly how much of it had been consumed in void energy. It fell to Othar to study the Or and its kin, analyze them, and hopefully learn enough to communicate with the other Naru and Draenei beyond Draenor. Othar became the leader of the Shattrath, an order dedicated to this cause. Founding of Shattrath, 195 years before the Dark Portal. The Rangari scoured Draenor for a place to build a permanent settlement. They discovered a prime location that no other creature had settled, a site protected by mountains and with access to the sea. Unbeknownst to the Rangari, this had once been the ogre city of Goria. Draenor's other societies remembered the elemental rage that had consumed it, and none had any desire to resettle that land. The Draenei had no such memories, and thus no such reluctance. Velen led his people there and established the city of Shattrath, a word meaning dwelling of light in the Draenei's tongue. Artificers labored day and night to erect buildings, crystals, and roadways, laying the foundation for the Draenei civilization to grow and expand. As the Draenei worked, a strange phenomenon caught their attention. One of the Shatari, Maladar, sensed that something was happening to the souls of Draenei who had died in the Genedar's crash. The remains of the Naru D'Or had drifted deeper into a void state, and they were attracting these spirits. Most shocking of all, once the souls arrived at the Naru, living Draenor found that they could communicate with their falling brethren. Nothing like this had ever happened before in the history of Eridar society. Valen immediately directed Maladar and a group of Shatari to move D'Or's remains to a secluded place. They found a location on the outskirts of Terakar Forest that was a safe distance from all other civilizations. The Shatari then built an immense mausoleum to house D'Or. After they had moved the Naru's remains within the tomb city, the Draenor spirits followed. The site became known as Aukindun, a home for the honored dead, and Maladar was named as the 5th Exarch on the Draenor Council. He would lead an order called the Aukanai. Maladar and his followers would be responsible for communing with the Draenor dead and protecting their souls from harm.